Do do do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Hallo, salud, sintiero un hajduk. Do 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 do. Just did a sneeze too. Hey, look at that. Look at that. Perfect timing on the Gesundheit. How's it going? It's going. I'm awake. I'm alive. Long doobie. Yeah, it's a long one. Won't be long for long, though. Huh? Huh? Who are you A-ing about? A. Oh. What is this German? Dir Ausch Gesundheit. Man, I don't speak no goddamn German. Look like I speak German to you? All right, don't answer that question. What's up, meds? Good evening. Or morning. Or afternoon, or whatever it is. Whatever it is. I suppose it would be technically afternoon for you, if I'm thinking straight. Yeah. had to do the math in my head, but it all came out. It all came out in the wash. Grab it. I'm gonna grab some coffee. Coffee. guess it was time, huh? All right. Oh, wait, I forgot one thing.
What?
My smokes.
Oh.
Of course. But of course. 'Tis my pleasure. You didn't sneeze. Is Gesundheit only applicable for when you sneeze? Doesn't it mean some shit like God bless you or something?
Yeah. You gotta sneeze to be blessed.
Yeah, if I was like a German priest or something, I'd probably say Gesundheit to a lot of people, you know. It wouldn't necessarily mean they sneezed.
It's weird. Like, I didn't say bless you for the longest time because I was being like young atheist, being like, no. And then I lived in fucking Indiana for 3 years, and then
It just broke you.
Yeah.
I've always done the bless you thing. It's literally like
most innocuous part of religion.
Yeah. And it's like reflex action now.
Yeah.
I hear somebody sneeze and it has to come out. Dinor, I watched you dual task that dump that you took. And I gotta say, that was pretty masterful. He pooped and then leaned all the way forward to sniff something while he was pooping. You got poop sniffs. That was crazy.
Probably not done then. He's probably gonna go do another one because he got distracted.
Maybe. Dinor dumps.
Y'all don't understand. He's sneaky.
Yeah, that's true. The double dump Dinor. What do you want to alert about right now, dude?
He's staring at.
He's like,
there's no trees there, so you can see that part of the road now.
Dinor is like constantly on alert. Does Dinor have those real loose stools? Those chocolate ice cream looking motherfuckers, or is his turds more solid and healthy? It depends. Sometimes he'll get a bout of the squirts, but 99% of the time it's just dog shit.
He just has this horrible habit of like, if you're going on a car trip, you have to literally take him like 3 times just to make sure.
He gets the nervous poops.
But he stores it.
Yeah.
Like, how are you still pooping?
Yeah, he gets the nerve poops, which we can all identify. Everybody's had a nervous poop once in a while.
He got me when I took him to the vet. He was storing one and just
Unleashed the beast as soon as you got him out of the car.
as soon as I walked in.
Fantastic.
Has he caught you in anything real bad? Or it's like he just dumped.
Yeah. I mean, just like I remember we took him to get his picture taken with Santa one year,
Yeah.
and he crapped in the fucking PetSmart in line for Santa.
Yeah.
Luckily, I think PetSmart's got like the whole setup, you know. They've got like the oopsie station or whatever. What is this shit about DFF ending? The subreddit is, you know, they're having a circle jerk over there.
They're trying to start memes. But you can't start memes from the subreddit.
Well, we call that a forced meme. And it's only funny to the like 14 people that participate in it. So they may as well be DMing it, you know? And the rest of everybody else is just kind of like, oh.
You know what I think it was? When that Facebook group got shut down, they all got unleashed.
I figured it out. I know exactly what happened to the DFF subreddit. I can trace the etymology. Yeah. I'll tell you what it was. TJ went on Vosh.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
And then that's what fucking...
Like, before that, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that the subreddit was, like, great or anything, but it was at least, like, readable. You know what I mean? And then TJ went on Vosh, and I'd say, like, probably 80, 90 Voshites came over and started participating over there, and that was it. It literally became...
got all political and shit.
Like, overly so. Like, we do political shit, you know? Every once in a while, some politics would come up over there, but, like, dude.
You'll have, like, a whole week where you do nothing but history and, like, cute animals and shit, and still.
Yeah. TJ went on Vosh, then I went on Vosh twice. TJ's been with him twice now, too, and that's every time we go there, some people fucking filter over from that Vosh subreddit, but TJ started that shit.
I know, it's like, I guess it's good to get the exposure, but it just comes with baggage, man.
Yeah. It comes with, you know, I'm not saying everybody that watches Vosh is this way, but Vosh has a very strong online-only contingent, like people that literally exist online.
Terminally online.
Yes.
And his Reddit fans especially.
Oh my God, Reddit is where those people go, you know? Yeah. So it's like, fuck. We got the worst of the worst. The bottom of the barrel of Vosh's fandom came toddling over to our subreddit. And ever since then, it has been a goddamn just fucking nightmare.
You can do that auto-ban shit. Where, like, some subreddits, if you just even subscribe to another subreddit, it auto-bans someone from your subreddit.
It sounds like too much work. The only thing that I like about the subreddit at this point is that it's absolutely zero maintenance. It's something that I can go over there and take a poop on, and then just leave for 7 days and come back and check on the poop.
It's like a terrarium.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a terrarium. I'd show up once every, couple weeks. I'd drop a deuce in it, and I just let it go, Let's see what happens in there. See what grows. Let's go see what grows in here. Imagine being on Vosh's show and giving them the "your comments are worthless" rant. Oh my God, bro. That would be, dude, that would pause the internet. I'm not even joking. The amount of fucking concerted rage that would happen if I went on Vosh's show and gave my "your fucking comment is useless" rant. Oh my God, bro. Oh.
Everyone, they want to be intellectuals in his fucking...
Yeah, everybody, he makes everybody think that they're participating when really they're just watching,
I mean, like, you see him, he interacts with the chat honestly less than you guys do.
Oh, yeah. Well, why would he?
Yeah.
It's gobbledygook. We need that, huh? Yeah. Well, I'll do it. If I ever end up back on the Vosh show, I'll do it. I don't think I will, though. Beyond, like, trolly shit like that, I really don't feel like I have anything to, like, I don't know, discuss with Vosh at this point. I feel like our political disagreements have been well sussed out. Yeah, who's that Pokemon? Dun-dun-dun. You just really don't give a fuck about Vosh. Good for you. Good for you, buddy. I mentioned Vosh, and now the whole chat is nothing but talking about Vosh. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. There's something about that name.
Yeah. And it's like, Twitter's fucking insidious. It's like trying to falsely promote him. It's like he'll be quote unquote trending on Twitter, but if you look at all the tweets within that trend, it's just people replying to one of his tweets and not actually like talking about him.
I was trying to explain that to TJ the other day too, because he's all not butthurt, but he was just like, man, fucking Vosh is trending all the time. And I was like, he's just trending because he's trending for you.
Yeah. And then it's a false trend because like other trends, like something's trending and then every tweet has like that phrase in it.
Right.
They're just counting every reply to Vosh's tweets.
So he just gets a billion replies to every tweet.
Yeah. And that's why Twitter's promoting them.
Right.
Because he sows the discourse.
Yep.
You'll fucking sit there going through a Twitter argument and pass like 10 ads while you're going through it.
Yep. So true.
Yeah, that's why we're not as popular. We didn't start as many Twitter arguments, man.
Yeah. We need to get on there and start our... Well, see, dude, my Twitter started to fucking grow when I was being more argumentative on it. Like, the more, like, angsty you get on Twitter, the bigger your following will get.
Mm-hmm. Which is dumb.
So I reread Ishmael last night. I've got questions. By the end of the book, the lies that uphold culture are made obvious, but besides teaching, what can those who know the lie do to pull the veil from people's eyes, just knowing the lies? Well, that's why Ishmael asks you directly to give the book to somebody else. Because, you know, not to get trite with it, but to quote G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. And so a lot of people don't understand the philosophical underpinnings of Ishmael and the kind of like power that human culture has over people and what it's done to the planet and what we have to do to think differently. Like that just doesn't enter into most people's lives. It doesn't impinge at all. And so Ishmael directly asks you in the book to share this work. And that's what you do. You can't tear down the system yourself. You can't get 10 of your friends together and tear down this paradigm. The only thing that'll tear down the paradigm is like an awakening of human beings to what they've been cheated out of because of the stories that we tell one another.
It's like the Enlightenment era that started like with just dudes talking to each other in those salons, and then it just spread, and some people started writing about it and some people started reading about it, and then all fucking sudden you got
Yep.
American Revolution.
French Revolution, American Revolution. I mean, it's just gotta, you have to understand that you as a single person, even me as a person with an audience, I'm to a certain extent powerless to reach beyond my own borders. I try, and I think everybody should try, and Ishmael is one of those ways that you can do that. You don't have a huge presence on the internet, but you can pass that book out to 5 or 6 fucking people. It's cheap as fuck. You know, you get 3 or 4 copies of it, give it for Christmas or whatever the fuck, and put a card with it. Like one of the reasons why I spent a couple of streams going over Ishmael and discussing the stuff inside of it was because I feel like that personal touch is what made people go like, oh, I'm gonna read this, versus me just going like, hey, everybody should read Ishmael anyway. Nobody's gonna go pick it up because of that. You got to give them a little taste of what's in it and why it's important to you.
It's like missionaries. They don't just plop the Bible on your door.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
The bad ones do. You know what I mean? Like some missionary work is just basically that. Like the Gideons. The Gideons' missionary work is just they've gotten a thing where they have the Bible in every hotel room. They donate Bibles to hotels when they open, and the hotels put the Bibles in the fucking rooms. And that's their evangelism. You know what I mean? More direct evangelism, in my opinion, especially with people like me, is easier. You know, you got to sell me a fucking idea. You got to show me what it means to you. I know it's an effective tool. I know it is.
Well, there is one like Mormon-owned hotel chain that won't have those Bibles in their hotel rooms.
Sure.
It was weird. It was like I can't remember which one it was, but I went as a kid. They don't sell normal coffee at a Mormon hotel. You can get a decaf coffee with a shot of espresso, but not brewed coffee. They had like this weird like Starbucks thing, but it didn't work like a real Starbucks.
Mormons are fucking... They're just fucking weird, man. But that should answer your question about like what can you do to help. That book is better than a conversation. That book is a Socratic dialogue between two people that is so easy to follow. I really can't think of anybody, unless you're dealing with somebody that has just like base issues with reading. It is so simply presented, but so intriguing in its content, and so short and sweet and to the point, but so packed with impactful, memorable moments and points, that there's no better way to spread that idea than to spread that book. I've done a lot of talks where we've sat here and we've talked about the concepts in Ishmael and stuff, and that's cool, but none of those are as impactful as just getting people to read Ishmael. It's tuned perfectly, and it engages the human mind in a way that just base conversation, most of the time, it just can't.
People kind of get defensive as soon as they start like a conversation like that.
Yeah. Is there anything one can personally do to pull themselves from the lifestyle this culture adopted, to live as one belongs to the world and not the other way around, besides literally becoming Diogenes? Not really. I mean, that's kind of the point of the book, is that in order to subsist, we all, one way or the other, have to buy into the cultural lies that we've been telling each other forever. We all have to participate on some level. So no, I mean, there's really no way. I mean, you can make moves in your life towards that, but you're going to leave behind a bunch of trash. That's the thing, is like, if everybody could just make the choice like, I don't want to be in this. I'm going to go to a little plot of land out in the woods somewhere that's far away from society and live. If that was like attainable for most people, that'd be one thing, but it really isn't. You have to fucking work hard to get to that point if you ever want to try that. You've got to work. You got to participate in the culture. You got to make the money. You got to make the capital to buy the land, to build the fucking little cabin, to get yourself supplied. All of that shit has to be in place before you can ever go do that shit.
Yeah, it's like if you're stuck living in an apartment, it's like you can't really live off the land because there's no fucking land to like grow food on and shit.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm at. I lived in my van doing what I wanted to do for most of this year. I got off the road because I realized I'm still in this and I'm still required to make money. Yeah, that's true. It's just a brilliant book. I mean, it's a book that shows something that's really interesting because it's something that I think a lot of human beings consider rare. And that is, it's a book showing a mind being changed. That's what I think makes it so powerful. I think that everybody that cares in one way or another wants to change another mind. But it's so rare. It's so rare to get that opportunity. And it's almost, human psychology is almost dead set against it. But in that book, you get to witness two minds being changed. You get to witness the mind of the narrator being changed by Ishmael, and then you get to witness your mind being changed, one way or the other, based on the information that you absorb from it. So, pretty interesting. Short book, easy to read. Just pass it out to people.
I think internet arguments don't work because people have time to refine their arguments. If you're having a conversation, you're just stuck with what you already know. You can't go Google something and find something that supports your position.
I mean, sometimes people do that, in these internet arguments, depending on what's what. They'll look up information that's deeper than what they may have. But at that point, you're just clashing against another person.
Yeah, you're just finding confirmation bias versus confirmation bias.
Right. That's why, Ishmael is so subversive. It's because, the narrator in the book isn't forced into this learning routine. In fact, he enters into it willingly. He's looking for work. And he treats it as such, He's looking for answers to the questions that he has. And so he willingly seeks this out and is openly skeptical. And it really allows you to get sucked into it. Internet arguments are also two-sided in a way the book isn't. Sure. Yeah, chat can... If you guys have conversations that you want to have that aren't about the subject matter that we're talking about, you can go elsewhere. It's a real simple fucking rule. This is a chat interactive show, and so your fucking side conversation with somebody else, as interesting and fun and pleasant as that may be for you, completely and utterly derails me. And I'm the one running the show. So stop it. You guys hit each other up on your own channels or whatever the fuck. Go find each other's fucking social media and become best friends on that shit. I don't give a fuck. Another reason I think internet arguments don't work is because of pride, even if someone's mind has changed. Well, yeah, because the worst thing that you can be on the internet is wrong. If you're incorrect about something on the internet, it's like it gives everybody else that's never been correct, an excuse to ha 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 ha. And that kind of stimulus is so attractive to the human mind, especially I think under the particular pressures that we live under. The kind of fuck you got mine mentality of capitalism. I think it really kind of drives that I want to see other people face plant, and look how much content on the internet is towards that. You know what I mean?
Literally just the beginning of YouTube was I debunk you, no I debunk you, no I debunk you.
Right. Yeah, it was just arguments, and then now it's so much content on this platform is here's a person that went from liked to hated. There's so much of that out there. Like this, like,
Internet drama.
yeah, here's the encapsulation of an entire cycle of internet drama. So you can watch a person go from like beloved by their fan base to hated by the internet. And it's just like, oh my God, dude, those stories are just so compelling to people because it allows you to compare yourself favorably against another person without doing anything.
Yeah, it's like why true crime is so popular.
Right. You know.
Moral grandstand against some murderer that was 5,000 miles away from you or whatever.
Right. It's crazy. It all ties back, man. My counselor was right. Everything is psychology. It's not just a one-off, man. Everything. If you're a human being, and even if you're not, but especially if you're a human being, everything is psychology. Nothing is what it seems on the face of it. Everything is interpreted by our minds. Everybody's mind interprets things a little different. Some people wildly different. And that is our experience. Everything we see is an illusion. Like that used to freak me out. But we're not seeing the world. When you open your eyeballs and you look around, you're not seeing the world. You're seeing light bouncing off of the surface and being interpreted by your brain. So what you see out here and the colors that you see and the way that you perceive depth in the world is unique to you as a human being. And it's really not the nature of reality. It's a picture. It's like watching TV. It's as real as watching TV.
It's like with optical illusions that really illustrates just how much your brain interprets things
Yeah.
that aren't there.
I mean, you can find those illusions where there's a circle in around a square, and it looks like they're doing this, but they're not. Or it looks like they're changing sizes, but they're not. It's just your brain. That alone should show you that what you're seeing out here is psychology. It's your brain's interpretation of what data it can take in. It's not reality out here.
It's like a dog sees the world totally differently. Like you look at a tree and Dino looks at a tree and you guys get totally different fucking information from it.
Yeah. My mother tells me that conversations like these is what is causing my depression, when in fact it's been the complete opposite. Thanks for all the laughter and different perspectives. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know, man. I tend to get pretty heavy on this show. We talk about a lot of heavy topics and stuff. And look, if you ever find yourself in a position where it's like, sometimes I find myself doing these and I'm just like, bleh. I suffer from depression and anxiety and shit. And it's not super fun for me to spin out about how everything's fucking burning. And you can always walk away from that. I do. And if you're somebody in the audience, I really encourage you to do that, because there's some times where we're having like an adult conversation in here and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just you're not in a position where it's like, I can't handle this. I can't sit and listen to this, and there's nothing wrong with that. You got to take care of your mental health first, but for me, like having this type of conversation actually helps sometimes. It helps to get it out of your head and into the world, So I think it can go both ways.
But yeah, I mean, everything in moderation too. It's like if you
True.
spend your whole fucking life analyzing the philosophy of things, it's not.
It's probably not healthy. But that ties back. Everything that you see is psychology. You see what your brain interprets, and your brain interprets things with psychology. You ascribe meaning to what you see because of your particular psychology. Amelia and I are looking down the road right now, and there's a white truck. We're both looking at that white truck. We can both see it. But what we think about what's going on with that white truck, what we assume that white truck is doing, all of those things are different.
ascribe portent to cars based on like how long they take to
Right.
fucking go down or whatever.
There's like a white truck just kind of like parked in the middle of the road right now. And so she and I are both looking at that. And descriptively, we would both probably say, yeah, that's a white truck. But if we were to get into every little aspect of what we think about that white truck, the connections we make with maybe like it reminds me of a car that my family used to have, or I wonder what they're doing, or maybe don't you dismiss it at all, or maybe you have an opinion on trucks that look like that run through your head. You see, the whole thing is, everything about it is, it's like that word qualia, right? And so you look at something and you might very basically describe it the same way as somebody else, but if you were to run through your thought process, it would be a completely different white truck.
Like Dynor, he sees everything like that as a potential threat.
It would seem he does. We think he does. That's how we interpret his reaction to it. But maybe that's not what he's thinking at all.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not like necessarily this is a threat. Maybe it's more territorial. Maybe it's like I'm the threat and I've got to tell them that this is mine. Who knows? I don't know.
Or he does this a lot too. He seems more aggressive than he probably is. He's a very vocal dog. A lot of things he does can be interpreted as aggression by someone that doesn't know him.
Yeah, for sure. Because he's always been like a growler, like like when you first meet Dynor, he might make a noise that if another dog made it, you would think that, oh my God, the dog's mad. Dynor's constantly talking. So he'll growl and grunt and make noises and shit that really don't mean anything. Like for him, a growl is like, I'm frustrated a lot of times.
It's like a sigh.
Yeah.
But he also sighs too.
Yeah, he has actual sighs as well. No, it's an interesting thing, but it leaves you in a very strange place, and it ties back to the Ishmael shit we were talking about. It's like, what do I do once you know that like there is mass psychology as well, right? Human beings in a group behave like an organism in a certain way. You can predict human behavior in group scenarios. But when you're talking about something as intimate as changing somebody's view on the world, how do you do that except for but one-on-one? And when you realize that you're dealing with somebody, like I said, Amelia and I's interpretations personally of that white truck, when you realize how many different perspectives that you're dealing with and how many different interpretations of just base visual, audio, experiential information, holy fuck, man. What a hill you got to climb. And that goes to show you that like the changing of a mind is hard work. It really is.
Talking about the other day, like having a beer with someone.
Mm-hmm. I've always valued one-on-one conversation. And I think a lot of people, especially in the age of the internet, would see one-on-one conversation as kind of a waste of time. It's like, why talk to one person when you can talk to 200 people or 500 people or 1,000 people or whatever? For me, this, like having a one-on-one conversation with you or just somebody I met, or having a political conversation with one of my cousins or something, that to me is way more important than anything that I do here. I've always put a heavier weight on that because I know that those are the critical moments where human beings are open to having their perspective challenged. At least most open.
You're vulnerable one-on-one.
Everybody is. Everybody in that conversation has a vulnerability when you're one-on-one. You can't look to anybody else. You have to provide your own perspective on it. It's, there's a back and forth quality to it that I think it's a Socratic dialogue. It's that question and answer session that gets you kind of deep into things. I think we indirectly change each other's views all the time. It can be through the environment, meals, and other things we cause each other. Well, sure, yeah. you talk extemporaneously for a bit about the intersection between the malleable chemical reality psychedelics induce and our limited perception of reality and one another? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but psychedelics are just like a proof of concept for me that perception is 100% of reality, and that makes everything psychology. It's like
just another filter you can put on it.
right, the fact that you can throw on a pair of chemical shades and see the world differently just proves your point, right? And I'm telling you, man, like I'm not trying to encourage anybody to take psychedelics or whatever. That's something you have to decide for yourself, but it will change your perspective. That is what you risk, in my mind, most of all, if you take a measured and competent and researched dose of a psychedelic. You risk never looking at the world the same way again. It really does change you. There's no question in your mind that the things that I'm talking about are true. Like if you're a person out there that's kind of listening to me and going like, all right, well, Paul's this whole devil in the details argument that Paul's putting forth. I mean, most people probably perceive the same things, and if you did a bad, okay, drop a hit of acid and then tell me that. If reality is perception, perception can be shifted so distinctly. Wouldn't those hallucinations be real? They're just as real as anything else. Like that's the thing. It's you're not seeing something that isn't there. Your brain is interpreting something that is there in a different way than it usually does. That's it.
It's like I think that's kind of the mythology, isn't it? You like see like ghosts and shit, or a random unicorn or something that.
Right. It's like I've seen things while tripping on acid, but all of them are things that were there. Like some of the most memorable things that I can relay to you. The experience I had, when I was sitting on the toilet taking a shit, looking at myself in the mirror. I was looking at myself in the mirror. I was just perceiving myself in a less concrete way than I normally do. So my mind didn't put any limits on what how I interpreted that visual information. So I was able to watch myself age in different ways. I remember one time taking a strong hit of acid and sitting down in TJ's basement, and he had this little picture of Marilyn Manson on the wall. And that I was seeing that, but I was seeing different things in it. My brain was allowing me to see movement because your brain predicts that. That's why those optical illusions look like something that's moving, but it isn't. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's like that chain came off, and my brain allowed my expectation that a human face is moving to impinge upon my reality visually.
But you've never just seen like a random pink elephant where there was no basis for it. Or
No. No, I've never taken a now. If you want to have that type of experience, you've got to have like these lockdown psychedelic experiences, like ayahuasca, fucking DMT, those, which is ayahuasca, it's just a different type of DMT. Those types of experiences, you will, but that just shows you once again how malleable your reality is. Those experiences flood your mind with chemicals and chemical reactions that create a fundamentally new reality. And people that come out of those trips will say that they met beings, they saw very detailed creatures, people, and Dino, come here. Come here. You chill out.
You see, you're so scary with your little pink sweater and your fluffy butt. People don't know what to do with you. You're too fluffy and you're too pink. It's terrifying.
Yep.
That's just another illustration of the same thing. It's like some people as cute and adorable and tiny as Dino is, and would be as scary as Niner wants him to be.
Yeah. It's true. I don't know. Interesting to think about. But also makes the work of like changing a human mind, like, it puts it in sharp relief. It is not easy. It's not simple. There's not a little trick you can learn to make it simple for everybody.
Really, the only simple way to do it is to be in a position of power over someone else.
But even that, changing a mind, it depends, right? Depends on the position of power. But even people in positions of power have limited authority to actually change a human mind. They can enforce compliance, but they can't. You know? I'm trying to remember the quote. They can shackle me with chains, but they cannot enslave my thinking. My thoughts are free, or whatever. I can't remember the quote. I'm butchering it, but yeah. No. It's I think it's like Marcus Garvey or something. I can't remember who said it. Bars, yeah.
You say overall, is it easier to do it with someone you know or a complete stranger?
What, acid?
No, like changing a mind.
Depends. Yeah, it really does depend. That's why it's why because I've had chance encounters with people that have changed my perspective on things, and so I know it happens, right? And so that's why I have that. I'll sit down and have a fucking conversation pretty much one-on-one with anybody, as long as they're willing to put in the effort that I'm putting in. That's why I have my beer mentality, because I know that those chance random encounters can have a profound effect on how you perceive things. So, but knowing somebody gives you, an end to their psychology as well.
You're not having to break through all the introductions and shit.
Right, and you're not having to establish yourself as a person who's worthy of listening to either. This is a person that that loves you, that wants to hear your perspective on things. It's like having a key. Doesn't necessarily mean that the key's going to open the door.
Yeah, because it can go the other way too. It's like if someone really knows you, but they ascribe like, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, then
Sure.
Yeah, suddenly have less authority than a stranger to them.
Right. So there really is, like I said, there's no easy way, and it's as complicated as you want to make it. It really is. That's why it's the most interesting thing to me, topic-wise, is human psychology. And we talk about it a lot here. And it's woven into a lot of things that may not seem like they're about human psychology. But it's a very, very heavily covered topic here on this show for a reason. I happen to think it's the most interesting thing in the world, and I happen to think that it really unlocks a perspective on other people that can be enlightening, and as to your perspective on yourself. I've learned a lot about myself from employing this way of looking at the world. And that's only been good for me,
I think like Freud, kind of despite his flaws, was trying to point out something that's like all of us have baggage. Not everyone has to be extremely like damaged or ill to have baggage that needs to be worked out.
Right. Freud was a weirdo, but Freud also, was one of the first people to introduce this idea of a complex human psyche. And the idea that there was more going on behind the scenes than in front of the scenes. People, I think, oftentimes take themselves and each other at face value. And Freud was one of the first thinkers to come along and say, no, there's stuff going on here that people don't have control over, and it's affecting them in ways that they don't understand. A very tough concept for people because it implies that they're not. Once again, it points to a deterministic universe. It implies that they're not the masters, the captain of their ship, or whatever the fuck, and that's.
And he definitely ascribed too much portent to some things, but
Of course.
ultimately it was like another way of looking at things. It's like little things in your life can have a profound impact.
Yep. Oh yeah, I mean Freud. You got to understand that the things that he posited had huge implications, not just for like normal people having philosophical and political discussions, but like for companies. His nephew, Edward Bernays, basically invented mass marketing using Freudian psychoanalysis, using this kind of iceberg theory of the mind and knowing that people had these subconscious desires that were crying out to be fulfilled was a huge boon to him. He saw dollar signs and he made dollar signs. He basically invented modern public relations. So he, not necessarily advertising, but public relations, the idea of putting a public face on a company. He was the guy that did it. And he did it using his uncle's theories on psychology. So that, it's a powerful thing. That's another thing that I was taught by that very same counselor who told me that psychology is everything. He used to lecture me on the sacred nature of his job and how important it was, because you have so much fucking influence over a person. And it's true. The more you understand about human psychology, the more you can subtly influence people.
Yeah, the more dangerous you become.
Yeah. In the hands of somebody who does not have, good intentions, it can be extraordinarily dangerous. It's how you end up with cult leaders, These people learn how to push certain psychological buttons in people, and they skim the population for people who are susceptible to that kind of psychological manipulation, and boom, you got yourself a cult. When you think of psychology and dreams, I don't know much about dream psychology, other than that, at least when I asked about it with my counselor, he told me that most psychologists don't put a whole lot of stock in dreams. It's kind of considered to be a dumping ground for the subconscious. So there's obviously meaning to it. You're seeing people that you know in your dreams, but you can't ascribe, you can't like interpret a dream directly.
I think there was more focus on that in the beginning, but it's kind of fallen out of favor, I think.
Right. I think the more that we've come to understand the human psyche, we've come to understand that dreams really are just a random mishmash of your day.
Like, it's so influenceable too. It's like certain medications you take can make them way crazier, but it's not like fundamentally anything in your life's changed. That
Yeah.
the dream means something totally different now just because you're medicated.
Sure. I think so. Somebody asked, "What about recurring dreams?" I think it's more about how you are affected by the dream. That's like the recurring dream itself is a manifestation of your subconscious. How you are affected by that recurring dream can vary wildly between people. Some people are just like, "Oh, that's weird. I had that dream again." Other people are literally haunted by it, and so really, that's where the work has to be done with dreams is how people perceive them, because experiencing a dream is a very personal thing. It's something that we all share. It's a weird subconscious state.
Yeah, it's like interpreting your interpretation of the dream rather than the dream itself.
Right.
Because you can't obviously like show someone a fucking video of your whole dream. You forget a lot of it when you wake up, and you fucking interpret things and fill in the gaps and shit.
Yeah. And so that's why I think that a lot of like psychologists and psychiatrists have gotten away from that. There probably is a little bit of meaning ascribed to your dreams, but giving people this idea that they should worry about their dreams all the time and hyper interpret everything they dream is probably not good for a lot of diagnoses.
That and it's just so heavily filtered. It's not like a clear picture of anything. It's way easier to ask someone what they're thinking than what they dreamed last night.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, dreams are manifestations of subconscious things like stress. So, like you just said you have a dream about somebody getting angry with you, and you fear them being angry at you in life. That makes sense. It's a manifestation of the stress that you're feeling, and your subconscious is working these things out in your dream state.
Sometimes you just have a completely random dream, like riding a pink elephant.
Yeah.
You overanalyze that, and it starts falling flat a little bit.
Yep.
You get work dreams much?
Yeah. I mean, I'll have them. I don't have them all the time, but yeah. I have always tended to dream about my job, whatever it is. And because I've worked at a lot of places for a long time, I will have the random dream here and there about an old job. And those are always the worst. It's like, oh no.
Starbucks again.
I'm moving fucking computers around pointlessly again. No.
Are they like purgatory dreams almost? Like the purgatory from like American Horror Story?
I tend to have very dull dreams. So yeah, a lot of my dreams are very purgatorial. Have you had a bad dream about DP? No, I've just had dreams about, especially when I was working on that show, I used to have dreams about that show.
Do you respond to the chat in your dreams?
No. The chat has never encroached on my dreams, thankfully. There's no chat in the dream world.
I just have these.
Gotta love Okies. Tiny motorcycle.
Sometimes my work dreams will be so realistic, I'll wake up and think that it happened and freak out about it.
I used to have those. Like, I would have a dream about being late, and then I would wake up thinking I was late. I don't really have those types of dreams anymore. In fact, I really don't remember a lot of my dreams now. Like, I'll wake up, and I'll be like, zombie-like, go to take my morning pee. And during that piss, I will typically go like, what was that dream? And it'll just fly away.
It'll be piss away.
Like it literally comes out the end of my dick, goes into the toilet bowl, and I'm like, God damn it, pissed out another dream. So I definitely do have dreams. It just, the memory of them is very fleeting, and it would require me doing something that I just don't think I have the fucking willpower to do. Some people wake up and they're able to like, oh, let me write down what that dream was. Like I can barely function when I wake up. So it is what it is. I figure, my brain's working it out, whatever I'm dreaming about.
And that's just another reason why dreams are unreliable. People have very different retention of them.
Yep. I had a dream Riker from Star Trek had a child with Gollum. Okay, get out of here. Shut up. The high school dreams where you find out you didn't have enough credits to graduate and have to go back. I never had that. I would have been fine staying in high school. I was not overly fond of college.
College is just high school 2.0, but you don't have like enforcement.
Yeah. Well, I'm out of here.